वैसे पॉडकास्ट का एक फायदा leave it for now. Leave.
Can you hear me?
Unmute for a second. We can hear you.
Oh, good. Thank you. Glad.
How are you, Doctor? Is it Dr. Melina?
No,
Or
I'm a dietitian, master's degree, but not doctor.
okay. So can I call you? What would you like to be called?
You could call me Vasanto.
Vasanto. Vasanto. Dr. Khan. How are you, ma'am?
I am very well. Yes.
So let me just start off by a few housekeeping issues. I'll tell you how we're going to navigate the program. Generally, we do an introduction, and we are based in a studio that's in Dallas. I'm going to be throwing out some questions, and you're going to be answering them. If they go too long, I'll raise my pencil. Should be able to see it's a bit like this.
Okay.
The interview is being recorded on Riverside. Okay. And it's being uploaded live as we speak. So if at any time there's a lag, don't worry about it. Lastly, today we're actually doing a little bit of different format. We're gonna have a bit of a live audience in the well, my team is trying to see if they can get a live audience in as well, and we're gonna have them involved as well. So we think that the topic is very important, it's very good, and we're gonna try to get them involved. And thank you very much for your fabulous work and your book. Really terrific, written, and really nice. See you. Why am I squashed over to the side? Is this normal or?
No, it's because it just changed.
Say again.
Trying to move the camera there.
No, it's good now, but
Okay. Yeah, because if we only have three, it will just have like these pieces.
so Abdullah, are you gonna keep 4 or 3? Because the camera goes a little bit wonky when it's 3. You're gonna do it 4.
Okay.
Could you have one on the audience? Try to do the 3 again one more time.
You can see me and Isha on your side, right?
I just see your
Yeah, Isha's here.
yeah, you're there, but your cameras are not there.
Yeah, because we have turned it off, so everyone will be joining you and you can see them all the participants.
Gotcha. Miss Vasanto, we're gonna start at 3 o'clock, if that is okay with you. If you want a 10-minute break, that's okay.
Okay.
You can surely come back or whatever. We can start 3:05 and we wait for you. I'll do a little bit of an intro.
We could start right at 3 your time.
Yeah.
Whatever time's okay with me. But it's actually better. Well, I don't know how long we're going to go, but I need
Half
to
an hour.
Oh, half an hour. Okay. Well, that's good.
How much time do you have?
I've got until 5 to 4 your time. So that's good.
Okay, fantastic. So
Yeah.
so if audience is involved a little bit, we'll go a little bit longer.
Another
I'll give
book
45
I have that you don't have is this Kick Diabetes Cookbook.
Oh,
which
wonderful.
is relevant to some people. It's used in New York hospitals. So you can say a little bit about that at one point if you like.
Will do. We'll give you an opportunity to probably show your book if that's okay.
Great. And is this visual or just sound?
A visual as well, ma'am.
Okay, good.
So we'll go through the question answers, and there'll be a little session on a rapid fire questions. And then we also have a little session for later on for the minis to make sure we know who the author, who the speaker is. So
All right.
just
Good.
be mindful about that. Okay. And we try to squeeze in everything in the 45 minutes that we have.
All right.
So good. Just give us another 5-7 minutes and I'll see if my audience is there as well. So I'm going to have to see that. Abdullah Bhai,
Dr.
can you check
I'll be back.
who's... Yeah, she'll be back. Audience में कौन है?
मैं ईशा आई हुई हूँ मैनेजर मैंने एचआर को लिंक फॉरवर्ड कर दिया उनको मैंने कह दिया
Mm.
Okay, let's start the program. Abdullah bhai, unmute. Okay, let's start the program. Abdullah bhai. Okay, well, we're going to be starting a very interesting program today, and I'm your host, Dr. Amir Khan. Let me say this first of all. Today we have a unique show, and the show is unique in a way because not only do we have a guest, but we have our audience in attendance here. We're going to be starting a very interesting program today, and I'm your host. And the attendance is people being there. So I'm really looking forward to what not only our guest today is going to be talking about, but also getting feedback from all of you who are in attendance. I think the question right now is twofold for the audience. Number one, why are we not exercising enough? I would say, you guys in general, I know, why is there not enough people exercising? And then the second question is diet on its own sufficient to resolve your issues? And that's where I want you to be all participating in. We'll be going into a sort of specific topic afterwards, and this is about diet, which is plant-based diet, and the importance of the plant-based diet. Why is it important, or is it important? Is it enough to give us everything that we need? Just plants, no meat. And the guest that I have today is going to be speaking to an audience that is primarily all carnivorous diets. So it's going to be an interesting discussion. So I am looking forward to what you guys have to say. But let me start off by saying, first of all, this. All of you know what are the essential macros that are required. Do you guys all know what are the essential macros? So type for me. Let's hear what are the essential macros that are needed in a diet. Protein, carbohydrates, fats, and others. And as you know, carbohydrates shape up to about 60% of the diet. Carbs, all carbs, so they shape up almost 60% of the diet. The remaining 20% is fat, and then the remaining 30% approximately is also carbohydrate, also proteins. So what is the fuss about? Yes, you need minerals. Yes, you need other vitamins. Yes, you do need everything. But what is this fuss about proteins lately? And that's what we're going to be talking about today. The landscape of the diet, and especially from dietitians' perspective, is that if you eat enough protein, you can compensate your carbohydrates and a portion of the fats as well. So that being said, we are now saying that carbohydrates try to completely eliminate from your diet. And if you can do that, we've seen benefit that is tremendous. Okay, so on this topic, I want to ask you, if you guys are just eating protein, just protein, can you maintain your body muscle mass? Are you able to maintain your body muscle mass? And I'm asking all of you. And I've got response for some of the audience already, and some of them are saying, talking about that, mentioning the essentials that are required. But are you able to maintain your body muscle mass, your bone mass, and other? So that's a very important question. So I want to hear from you guys what you think while we start the show. So have you guys thought about what's on your plate? Is it good food? Is it bad food? And why are we not getting better if it is good food? Why do we are still having a lot of diabetes, heart disease, and why are you not living long enough? Well, some of you may say, okay, I'm young, I don't need to exercise. Well, that's fine. I can control it with diet. And a lot of people who have diet, sorry about that. And a lot of people who are on diet will argue that I have diet and that is enough. I can tell you, in your diet, if there's one component that is more important than everything else right now, that is your protein nutrient. It gives you energy. It helps you cut your carbs. But more importantly, it helps you also feel full. So your strategy generally is that you will eat less. Also, it will give you more energy. Well, it will give you energy. Probably fat gives you more energy, but it gives you equal energy to carbohydrates. So I want you to remember that. So while meat has long been the lonely source or the major source of protein, the push for protein, animal protein, which is considered to be the pivotal and more important thing, has some problems with it as well. And that's what we're going to be discussing with our guest today. Does it come with problems? That's what we're going to find out. So the diet trend has changed a little bit for all of you. And I'm seeing some comments here that your body needs carbohydrate. Well, that's a good point. Does it really? Why does it need carbs? And I'm seeing you saying, and then there's some people talking about lean protein. Very good. What is lean protein? Well, we're getting questions accumulated for our guest here. And that's very good. Let me say this. A meta-analysis published in the Diabetes Care Journal found that plant-based protein or plant-based eating patterns, people who eat plants, have 23% lower risk of developing diabetes. That's quite an astonishing figure, if that is true. And that may curb half of the problems that we have. Okay, another study in the American Heart Association also found that plant-based diet is significantly lower risk of cardiovascular disease, and also something that we use very fondly that is called mortality, which means death. Plant-based, again. What about another very prestigious journal? It's called the JAMA, Internal Medicine Journal. It actually showed that replacing animal protein over plant protein was tied to lower overall mortality as well. And this is very shocking. We always think that, if you eat protein, the dietitians will tell you it's good enough. But now we're arguing plant protein over animal protein. You're getting the protein from the plant, not from animals. The good source of protein is from your chicken, is from your fish. Those are your lean proteins, white protein. And then there is some non-white red protein coming from your meats, goats, lambs, and other sources. Welcome to another episode. This is Khan Clinics. As you know, I'm Dr. Khan, and I really want to discuss this in sync with our discussion here. I have the distinct honor of having Miss Vasinto Molina here in the studio with me. Miss Vasinto, welcome to the show to help us guide through the topic of plant protein.
Thanks, Dr. Khan. Good questions and topics. Yes.
Absolutely. Before I go on to discuss this, I want to just show Dr. Miss, I would say, if you can see my book, the book here, and that is on plant-based book. It's called Plant-Powered Protein. And then there is a couple of other books that she's wrote. One is on Food Allergy Survival Guide. And Miss Vasinto, do you want to show your book as well? That's specifically on
another one,
diabetes.
Kick Diabetes Cookbook. Yeah.
Kick Diabetes Cookbook as well.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Let's start off with the first question. And a lot of people already have been asking me this question. Can protein from non-meat source be enough for you?
Yes. Well, it definitely can. And in fact, all the amino acids that we require, the essential amino acids, actually come from plants. If you think about the animals like cows, but also gorillas and very well-muscled animals, many of them, deer and hippopotamus and gorillas and just all sorts of animals eat just plants and they grow strong muscles. But it turns out that every amino acid is present in every plant food. They're in varying amounts. The only food that actually lacks an amino acid is gelatin, which is made from beef, like from animal products. It's a construct, but so it's really not that hard to get all the amino acids, and they aren't lacking. We need a kind of mixed diet. Some of the early studies with rats, for example, that were done, just fed them one food. But of course, we humans, they'd feed cheese and see whether wheat was as good type of thing. But we humans eat a mix of things. So it works out very well, actually.
So there's follow-up people saying, I'm not going to stop eating meat. I love my meat. I love the taste. What are you going to tell them from the study that shows protein can be obtained from plants? And does animal protein be harmful to you? Can it be?
Well, actually, the red meats, it turning out, are probable carcinogens, according to the World Health Organization and the American Institute of Cancer Research. So if you want to lower your risk considerably, you can avoid those. I never try and get people, that you have to do this or you really must change. And a lot of our research shows that if people eat just small amounts of these things, just start exploring the world of legumes, beans, peas, lentils, which actually have been part of diets around the world for centuries. And if you just start exploring and find something that you actually like. But I sure don't think people have to go and eat things they hate. That's for sure.
So you're saying, is there any inflammatory effects? Is there any cardiovascular effects? Is there any uric acid effects?
That's
Would
right.
you like to explain a little bit of that to the audience who was saying, no, I need my meat at every cost?
You don't need your meat, but it's an okay option to have some. And I think we're suggesting that you start backing off and exploring the other worlds. You mentioned some very good figures about type 2 diabetes, reduced risk, cardiovascular disease, reduced risk. We also reduce our risk of the hormone-related cancers, especially breast cancer, but also prostate a little bit. And we can drop our risk of hypertension by, get this number, 75% by going completely plant-based. And drop your risk of cataracts. And that's one that I've been interested in, macular degeneration, cataracts. We find you can drop your risk 40% by going completely plant-based. And then we find if you go in that direction, so I'm often talking to people who are just wanting to explore, moving a bit in that direction and finding things that really taste good. What am I going to have for lunch? What am I going to have for supper? Type of thing.
What was the factor that made you switch from proteins or just going on a plant-based diet?
On my plant-based?
People are very curious to
Yeah.
know, can you even live just on a plant-based diet?
Well, I'm actually 83 years old, and I've been completely plant-based for about 33 years. But I certainly didn't start out this way. And my father actually worked with Best and Banting, who got the Nobel Prize in relation to insulin's use in relation to type 2 diabetes. I was around that all the time, and my mom was good at teaching how to make good food. But then I'm from this very academic background, and then I started to want to explore the world. So I had the opportunity to travel around, go to all different countries. And one of them I spent a lot of time in was India. And they're very good at things like chana masala, mujardara, hummus in the Middle East, chilies, adas or lentil soups. Like, they're just really good at doing those things, so they taste good. And that started me. It was actually cultural. Oh, those things taste good. And then I started learning about the some of the animal issues, how in our slaughterhouses, in the institutional, the situation for the animals is very cruel. And I understand even Mohammed talked about this, that there shouldn't be cruelty with regard to animals. And then I got to know about the health things. And I'd like to end up being even older and have no health problems, like not be all tied up to a bedpan and tubes and all that kind of stuff. And then the fourth, which is a very new situation, interest to young people, causing huge switches, is the environmental impacts. For example, beef has about 30 times the CO2 emissions of something like tofu, or what they call in India the pulsas, or the legumes, the things that grow in pods, which of course are fed to the animals, including chickens. Like, a lot of the Brazilian rainforest is being cut down for chickens, surprisingly. So people are just starting to notice that land use, water use, environmental impacts, things relating to all these forest fires that are coming. So I find that the stretch of why this is appealing is increasing with time.
So to my audience, I just want to explain. Ms. Vicento highlighted a point saying animal cruelty. And for those who, some of you may not understand, or that a lot of the people here think that you are not dealing with the animals in the right way. And we abuse them, we are cruel to them, we are not kind to them. And that's where Ms. Vicento was coming to, and killing them in wrong ways. There is a right way and a wrong way. And that has also been having some effects on some campaigns here who would say, I want to be not able to do animal cruelty, and don't kill anyone so some people don't kill you. So just a perspective, you should all be aware of this term, and you should respect people who are worried about cruelty to cats, cruelty to dogs, cruelty to donkeys, cruelty to animals, just in general. And then when you kill them for your purposes, are you doing it in a right way? So that's one aspect of this. And I really want to highlight this, that where all of us, we respect and should respect not only humans, but also animals. And we respect who respect those feelings and stuff. So just a very good point. There is also a point that are we getting the protein in a right way? Meaning, is the animal nowadays being grown up organically? And there is a campaign regarding this, because people think that we are injecting steroids, we're injecting stuff, and that in return is making meat a very potent poison. Is not healthy protein when it comes from the animals. And so organic stuff, food, is becoming very hard to obtain. It's expensive as well, and we are not able to find what we need to find. So is protein coming from not only protein but a lot of other stuff? Is that coming from the plants a good option? So just to be sure that my audience understands this, very, very two key points: animal cruelty, and where is the protein or coming from, and what are you eating? Are you sure you're eating the right stuff? So Miss Vasanto and her group believe that plants in itself are sufficient to get what you need and live. By the way, there's some very famous actors now who
Yeah.
have joint problems, inflammation in their joints, and when they go above 50, they start feeling that I should have been on a plant-based diet from right from the beginning, and this is not good for me. I've ate this protein from a meat, and my heart has become weak. My lungs, which are also protein, are weaker, and my kidneys, which are also protein, are weaker. So just be mindful about that. That's another thought that is out there. Well, I want to go back to Miss Vasanto and ask, because she's a dietitian, and she will give you advice on how to follow a plant diet. And one of the questions that has come up and in the discussion is, when I go on a plant diet. Now, let me just say this to my audience: what is good sources of plant protein? They're going to be investigating and looking up that. And while they do that, look at plant protein. I'm going to be asking a follow-up question, and that is, why do I lose weight whenever I go on plant diet? I tend and the follow-up question, they always appear emaciated, they always appear weak. They're never fully grown bodybuilders. What do? I want to be strong, I want to be big, and I need to be on good protein, solid protein. What would you say to that, Ms. Vasanto?
Well, one of the things is that we need at least 10% of our calories from protein. 15% is great. You can go up to about 30%. Now, the legumes actually provide 20 to 30% of their calories from protein. So you can rely on those. And we recommend that people use those twice a day. And I want to say something about the words vegan and plant plant powered, because I think when we think about the word vegan, it's actually an animal rights based word. And the more I've been learning, and I'm really interested in plant based and how to make it really work for people. But uh, plant based research is more focused on what's a really healthy pattern. In our plant powered protein website, people can look there, plant powered protein no periods, but just a dash between Planned Parenthood. And there's a food guide on there. And you can look at a excellent pattern. And it's actually very similar to food guides around the world, especially the health-oriented ones. So about half your plate is vegetables and fruits. And even a lot of the vegetables have as much as 40% of their calories from protein. And then there's a quarter of the picture is grains. And if people want to lose weight, they'll really cut back on that. But we're really focusing on whole grains. And then legumes are at least a quarter of the picture. That's of your whole day. And then nuts and seeds. The only group that really doesn't have much protein, hardly any, is fruits. Of course, they have very other protective substances, and the starchy vegetables are fairly low. But you can easily get enough protein from the legumes, especially the soy and tempeh and tofu. And there were some funny rumors about that for men, which were based on two guys that really overuse soy. And so soy is actually can be very helpful. And the veggie meats that they're making can be helpful for people in transition. So it's sure not hard to get the protein that you need. One of the things about carbs that you mentioned was that people are cutting back on them. Well, usually in most American diets, something like 90% of the carbs are very refined. White flour, refined things, sugar, pop. So when people cut those carbs out, that is a good thing. But the carbs that are in legumes, in beans, peas, lentils, the carbs that are in whole grains or corn or like whole foods like that, those are not bad carbs. And we absolutely require about 150 up to maybe 250 grams a day to run our brains. Like we do need carbs, absolutely. You can convert protein to that, but it's a bit of work for the kidney to knock off the nitrogen. So carbs are a good thing. The other thing we've been very interested in lately, Brenda Davis, my co-author, and I, is essential fats, because these are part of the cell membranes, and they're also part of your brain power as you get older. And fish are good providers of these. But the fish actually get the DHA, the long chain omega 3s, from microalgae. So we've been exploring this. You can get some of those omega 3s from hemp seeds, chia seeds, walnuts, flax seeds, but some of us don't convert very well to the long chain omega 3s, DHA. But you really require those, and so I think nutrition's a very lively field. And if your audience has a lot of questions, no wonder. I do too. Like, I'm really interested in exploring. Okay, what's ideal? Yeah.
Well, I think, Ms. Vicento, you've got yourself into an audience that is a meat lover people, and they're not gonna give up. It's same like Texas; they're not gonna give up their meat very easily. So that's the big challenge here, and I'm hearing from them how they say, "I want to eat rice. I want to eat the wheat," and a lot of the studies now have been showing how uh, meat, the rice and the wheat are not good when you're trying to lose weight, especially, and or if you're obese and overweight, you have to cut. One of the things you have to cut very first is your rice and your wheat, because that's giving you too much carbohydrates. So, or if some of the girls I was asking earlier, if you do not exercise and you start losing weight versus if you don't exercise and gain weight. So in both of the situations, when you are gaining weight or losing weight, you have to balance out what you're eating. So there is a lot of lack of awareness, and more so even on plant-based diet. So in your book, I was reading a lot of interesting recipes that you have wrote, and a few of them that struck me a lot was how you've advocated on eating a lot of beans in your different type of beans, and this is very relevant. So whether you are eating bean salads, you're advocating that, and then that is a wonderful picture as well. It's like beans, corn, different lentil that came up repeatedly on in the discussion for your recipes, and one of the interesting sources, noodles, was also very plant based, and getting the noodles from different sources, you've highlighted that, is very important. Chickpeas and hummus was also highlighted a lot in your book, which I find interesting. I know you've mentioned curry in a hurry. Curry has become very popular in West, but then you mentioned one of the big sources of protein, which is try to eat dal, vegetable dal regularly,
It's
and dal
very
is
good.
very popular.
Yeah, yeah. One thing I want to tell people, if you've been a meat eater and you're going to start to eat beans, and I just learned this fairly recently. I used to tell people, start small and start with the red lentils that they cook so fast, and start with the smaller beans, peas, lentils. But I learned from a guy lately, Will Busowicz, a gastroenterologist. He told me, tell them start small, like 5 cooked chickpeas or small portion of hummus. Don't even half a cup. Like you can throw your gut microbiota, and you'll lose all your friends. Like nobody will want to come near you, with all the gas production. They actually did a study on the military, U.S. military, in the Midwest, and they put little apparatus on their rear ends, and we are supposed to pass gas, but it's not supposed to be terrible. And if you start jumping into beans, 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 and you've been a meat eater, all your gut microbiota are going to go, yikes, Dr. Khan or whoever it is, what are you doing?
Well, and you get constipated a lot
Yeah,
with
that's
this. With
right.
the
Yeah, yeah. So it takes a little while. So it's fine if people are happy with what they're doing and they just start introducing gradually some options, which are, of course, traditional in many Muslim parts of the world. Yeah.
I've got a comment here saying plant-based food is not cheap, and how do you afford if you're just gonna go plant-based? And I have another follow-up question to this is that why don't you advocate balanced diet versus going on a plant-based diet? Two questions.
Well, I do have actually clients from Texas, from all over the place, and I think it's good to make the balance what the person wants and can live with. It's got to fit with what you can do. If a person's an elite athlete, they don't have time. If their budget's limited, but you can do it all kinds of different ways, and the balance ends up different. So I just try and help people within their ability, their budget, but it can be really inexpensive, like lentils. Um, in the kind of Midwest, there was the what is it? The Three Sisters: corn, beans, and sort of greens that grow with them. And you can do it all kinds of different ways, including very inexpensively. Um, so one of the things is that meat is very, very heavily subsidized, and dairy fairly heavily. So that's
So
why meat is so inexpensive.
this is interesting for the audience in the West versus audience somewhere else, because plants are more expensive here, whereas back in Asia, Southeast Asia, and in many countries, plant-based food is for poor people, and
Yeah,
lentils and stuff is for poor
yeah,
people, and meat is considered to be an expensive commodity. Here
yeah,
is the other way around. If you go to stores, you find plant-based diet is more expensive to get, and meat is, like you're saying, is subsidized and hence cheaper, and it's readily available. So just consider what is going on here. There is a major shift where people want to eat more meat. It's expensive, and here the value of plant is recognized, and it's expensive here, and meat is cheaper. I want to do a follow-up question. Can you get? I know you mentioned fat proteins can be obtained by plant-based. Where do you get your essential fats from plant-based diet?
Okay, well, fish are well known for that, fish and seafood. But it turns out that there's a fair amount of contamination, and a lot of the fish are from fish farming, and there's major problems with contamination. I think because they're in these little cages, and they drop food into them. There's a huge environmental impact, surprisingly, for these farmed fish. Plus, they're in an ocean where we're just dumping all kinds of stuff. You know, the Gulf of Mexico is a dead zone. You know, we're creating these problems. So fish get their omega-3s from microalgae, which are little tiny things. And they don't make omega-3s. So the essential fats that we need could be gotten either from fish, and there's varying amounts in varying fish, or directly from microalgae. And I'm actually learning about this fairly recently, and I've followed this. I forget where they're. I think in Dakota, there's a group called OmegaQuant.com, and they'll send you a little kit for about $50, and you can do a blood sample and see what your omega-3s are, and then see if you want to boost it. So I had to increase what I was doing to get to the optimal serum DHA levels. DHA is docosahexaenoic acid. It's a good one for running your brain and for your hormones and all sorts of things. So this is, I say that nutrition's a really new, lively field. We only discovered the first vitamin in 1914, vitamin A, and then we went on to the Bs. And we started adding iodine to prevent thyroid problems in 1924. And the vitamin B12 was around 1949, 1947. So we're learning all the time. I mean, both for a meat containing and a more plant-based diet. We're just learning things all the time. And even vitamin D is a new one. I learned from, that's in milk, and it's added to milk. It's added to soy milk. But I found, for example, that I was a poor vitamin D absorber. And so I've been having to take quite high intakes of vitamin D. I talked to Dr. Veith, one of the leading vitamin D people in the world, and he said what's optimal for one person can be toxic for another. So nutrition's a really lively field. Like we're continually learning things, and we're wanting to tweak it, because you can have people really trying their best and doing what they think is healthful, and then they'll end up having ischemic heart disease or high hypertension, things like that. And, you know, we're wanting to solve these and get them to the right place.
Thank you for answering that question. Let me go on to a few little questions, short questions. It's just like a one-liner where we get to know the author a little bit more. So I'm just going to go over those questions with you, knowing that you your career spans over 5 decades.
Yeah.
You've inspired millions of people around the world. You've wrote groundbreaking books, including Becoming Vegan, Becoming Vegetarian, Becoming Raw, and most recently the book that we just showed, Plant Powered Protein, which has been translated into many languages. You've studied at UCL, University of London, and also at University of Toronto, where you completed your master's in nutrition, and now you're based in Canada. Let me go and give you some short questions. You grew up where? then.
in Toronto and Vancouver. I think my dad, who was doing cancer research, had about a 3-year attention span for jobs. So we kept going back and forth. And then we went to England, which was very interesting.
Short question answers. Why
Yeah.
get into nutrition?
Well, there was the health part, and then there was making food taste good.
Who influenced you the most to go into plant-based living?
Oh, I think it was travel, going around the world was, yeah.
Which book is your favorite?
I like the plant-powered protein pretty much right now, plant-poweredprotein.com, and it's got to #1 on Amazon.
What's your favorite book overall?
In the world?
Yes, ma'am.
Or of mine? Or what?
Your favorite book.
Oh, I don't know. I'd have to think about that too long.
What keeps you motivated?
Oh, it's fun for me doing this. I get very interested, like when I have clients, and I do help them where they are. Like I had somebody come to me with diabetes last year, and that's totally in remission now. Totally, she's not
Excellent.
diabetic anymore.
What legacy do you hope to leave?
Legacy, well, I told you I'm planning to be 118 and in pretty good health when I pass away. So I don't know.
That's your legacy. We have some rapid fire questions, and we're
Okay.
going to be asking some of those. Those are like choices between two. And meanwhile, I'm going to see if there's any questions my audience has. Plants or protein shakes?
I use protein shakes in the morning. I have kale, blueberries, protein powder that's based on pea protein, one without a lot of junk added, and banana. Yeah. And
Sugar or salt, bigger enemy?
What did you say? Salt?
Sugar or salt, which is bigger enemy?
Well, sugar is unnecessary. We use in our diabetes books other sweeteners that are whole foods. Salt can be a problem. I like it, and it's essential.
Smoothies or salad, which one is more powerful for you?
I love salads a couple times a day, and to make it easy, I make a big one that lasts for 4 days and keep it in the
Meal
fridge.
prep or spontaneous cooking?
What kind? Or
Meal preparation or spontaneous cooking?
Oh, a bit of meal prep, like cook a big batch of something like lentil soup, or I have hummus in the fridge, instant. I like pretty instant. Yeah.
Breakfast, most important meal or a myth?
People really vary. Yeah, some people, yeah,
Fiber.
vary. Yeah.
Fiber, daily must or optional?
We require fiber, and most people don't get near enough. And animal products have no fiber, so got to eat lots of those plant foods.
Your final message to our audience who is listening very patiently.
Okay. Well, if they have things they like, keep liking them and enjoying them, and do just start moving a little bit. Look at that plant-poweredprotein.com food guide, and just got some nice ideas.
Plant-poweredprotein.com.
Yeah.
Food isn't just fuel, it's your future. Vicente Molina, thank you for reminding us of that today. Now the challenge is yours. What's one plant-based change you'll make this week? Thank you for attending the show. Thank you for being with us, Ms. Vicente Molina. We appreciate your presence.
Thank you, Dr. Khan. It was a pleasure. Yeah.
Share this if you feel like you've learned something. Invite your friends to join, because transformation happens faster together. I'm your host, Dr. Khan, and signing off from Khan Clinics. Until next time, don't just eat, eat with purpose, live with passion, and stay tuned for more groundbreaking conversations. Thank you.